This is the Action Bible. It's a great way to learn about God through words and pictures. The plagues, based on Exodus 7:12 to 10:20. But while Pharaoh watches, the serpent of Aaron swallows the serpents of the Egyptian magicians. Through disappointed, Pharaoh refuses to admit that Moses' God is more powerful than the gods of Egypt. In the morning, Moses and Aaron meet Pharaoh on the bank of the Nile River. Don't you have anything better to do than bother me during my morning bath? Because you won't let the Hebrews go, the river will be turned to blood. Moses' command, Aaron strikes the water with his rod, and the water turns red. My suckers can do the same thing. If they're such great sorcerers, why don't they turn the Nile back to water? But this they cannot do, and the Nile remains blood for 7 days. A whole week, that means. The Egyptian women are unable to wash their clothes in the bloody river. Men have to dig wells to find drinking water. Finally, the river is clear again, but still Pharaoh will not listen to Moses' plea, and so God sends a different plague. In streets of the city, frogs, millions of them, everywhere. And in Egyptian homes, eek, my flour is ruined. Even in the palace, I can't stand these filthy creatures. Send for Moses and Aaron. Ask your God to take away the frogs, and I will let the Hebrews go. It will be as you say. But when the frogs are gone, Pharaoh breaks his promise, so God proceeds with his next wonder. God torments the Egyptians with a plague of gnats. They infest everything. The Egyptians can't get them out of their houses, their hair, even their beds. Pharaoh tries to bargain with Moses, but Moses stands firm in his request. Once again, Pharaoh promises to free the Hebrews, but when the gnats are gone, he hardens his heart again. As if the gnats weren't bad enough, God follows them with a plague of flies. The flies are in everything. The Egyptians can't keep them out of their food or off their faces, but no flies trouble the Hebrews in Goshen. Can't you worship your God here? No. Okay, you can go. But like before, Pharaoh changes his mind, and then God sends a disease up upon the Egyptians, animals, and livestock. God gives his next instructions. He and Aaron interrupt Pharaoh's court and throw soot in the air. Immediately, Pharaoh and his advisors break out in painful sores and boils. The rest of Egypt is struck with the same disease as well. But Pharaoh stubbornly refuses to recognize God's power and authority. Father, why were the slave drivers so cruel today? They're always cruel, son, but right now they are angry to be suffering from the terrible boils, while we remain healthy and strong. Still, Pharaoh keeps the Hebrews in Egypt. So a terrible storm strikes, hailstones big as my fist throughout the land. and Egyptian farmers watch the storm with terror. Our crops are ruined. But no hail falls in Goshen where the Hebrews live. Pharaoh calls Moses to him. I have sinned. The Lord is right and I am wrong. Pray to the Lord for us. We have had enough of all the hail, and I will let you go. Just like every other time, once the plague is lifted, Pharaoh changes his mind. Let my people go, or I will send locusts that destroy anything that's left alive in this land. Begrudgingly, Pharaoh calls Moses back to him. Fine, go worship your Lord. Who were you planning on taking? We will take our young and old, our sons and daughters, our flocks and herds. Ha ha ha, no, just the men. Locust it is. God sends locusts, which devour anything that wasn't destroyed by the hailstorm. Then, when Pharaoh's heart remains hardened against the Israelites, God makes the day as dark as night. The final plague, based on Exodus 10:21 to 12:51. After 3 days of darkness, Pharaoh calls for Moses and Aaron again. Fine, you may take your women and children, but your sheep and cattle must remain in Egypt. No, we won't leave a single hoof behind where we go. Then you'll all stay right here where you are. Get out of my sight. If I see your face again, you will die. But Moses is no longer afraid of Pharaoh. That's what you say. Here's what the Lord says. Tonight, every firstborn son in Egypt will die, including yours. O Pharaoh, you will know grief worse than any Egypt has ever experienced. And then you will come to me on your hands and knees and beg for my people to leave. Quickly, Moses calls for a meeting of the Hebrew leaders. God told me that the angel of death will strike Egypt and take all the firstborn of every family. The firstborn of every family. Moses instructs the Hebrews on how to protect their families. Surely this will bring our release from slavery. 9 times Pharaoh has broken his promise to let us go. What will he do this time? Why are you putting lamb's blood on our door? God told us it would be a good idea to let the angel of death know to pass over our house. That evening, every Hebrew family packs all of their possessions, hoping that they will finally be able to leave Egypt. They eat a meal called the Passover because the angel of death will pass over their homes. Just before midnight, what is it, Mommy? It's God's destroyer. Come away from the window. No! Help! Then at the stroke of midnight, the Lord strikes down all of the firstborn of Egypt. But every Hebrew house with lamb's blood on its door is passed over. God will give us the signal to leave any moment now. We must be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. In the palace, your son is dead, Pharaoh. And messengers bring word that the firstborn of every Egyptian home has died suddenly tonight. My son! Summon Moses and Aaron to come immediately. This time Pharaoh does not bargain about cattle or sheep. Take your people, take your cattle, and get out of Egypt. Serve God as you wish. Moses gives the order to march. Immediately the slaves rush out from their homes and meet at a camp in the country. We're free, we're free. Thank God my children will not be slaves in Egypt. That's the story of the 10 plagues from the book of Exodus.